Welcome to the Art of Living Podcast. I'm Zafar Majid, and today we are going to talk about the marriage crisis within the Muslim community, the crisis of the suitable rishtas that we are never able to find. But first, just a humble request, if you can subscribe to our channel, and inshallah we'll be able to update you and notify you of future programs. Thank you. But going back to our topic, this is now such a big issue in our community that we have many good people who are unable to marry, girls who are educated, boys who are educated, and what we are finding that it seems a lot of them are struggling to find a suitable spouse, and the thing that we keep hearing again and again and again is there isn't the good men out there anymore. And the guys are saying the same about our sisters and daughters. There isn't any good women out there anymore. So somewhere along the lines, something has gone terribly wrong. So we've got so many people looking to get married, or are they as well? There's also a large pool of people who are not even getting married. And I know many guys in their late 20s and even 30s who are not yet married. And inshallah, this is a very hot topic that which we'll be discussing much more as we go along with guests as well. But I wanted to touch upon this today, that we as an ummah are facing a crisis of marriage. Even the Western mainstream media touched upon this issue a few years ago when they labeled this as the Muslim spinster crisis. The vast amounts of Muslim women who have become educated, career-driven, successful in their jobs and professions, but they are unable to find suitably professional Muslim counterparts for marriage. Yes, that is an issue. But at the same time, we have to ask ourselves, and again, that may be better addressed with guests, female guests later on in this particular category, to see why they are struggling to find suitable spouses. Have they raised their standards so high that they are unable to fulfill that criteria? That's also a serious issue and a possibility that they may have raised their standards and criteria so high that many men now would be unable to fulfill that. And we still hear men who are unable to get married because they're looking for, I don't know, angels, hoods from Jannah for wives, somebody who is going to tick all the boxes. I remember once I met somebody who wanted someone who was so educated. She had to be Urdu speaking. She had to be beautiful. She had to have all the qualities of being able to be a housewife as well. And we were all sitting there listening to him. And his brother said, has one seen himself in the mirror? And which is true. Sometimes we have such a high standard that we want in terms of qualities in our spouse, but we forget to look in the mirror. How much qualities do I have? How many flaws as a human being do I have? Do I not need to be able to see that the other person will have these flaws as well? So we really need to be a bit more adaptable. We really need to be able to compromise as well, because there's no such thing as the perfect husband, the perfect wife. Ask those who have got married out of their own choice. They've had love marriages. When they met, they thought she is the one. He said she said he is the one. They were the ones they thought they found their soulmate. But when they got married, literally a few weeks, months, a short period after marriage, that actual love collapses. The marriage collapses. They find out that he was not what she thought he is, and he thinks that she's changed. The fact is, neither of them changed after marriage. They were just basically hidden. The true character was hidden before marriage. Because whenever they met candlelit dinners in romantic settings. He had his mask on, she had her mask on, and they were very careful how they conducted themselves in those settings. But once you get married and you live with each other in that 24/7 environment in a home within the four walls, the mask slips and the real character comes out, and that's when people realize that they've made the wrong choice. And even if you rewind back, when they first met each other, what they thought was love, it was not love, it was lust. Maybe the man was completely obsessed with her looks, and she was drawn into how handsome he was and how he behaved and how charming he was in public to her. But that mask very easily slips after marriage, and the true inner reality comes out. So that's why a lot of marriages, love marriages especially, fail. And this concept, we need to know each other, get to know each other, is a very much a modern Western concept. Even the Western world, when they were practicing Christianity in its sort of original form as it was meant to be, they also practiced the concept of arranged marriages, as we in the Muslim community have been doing so for a very long time. That's why arranged marriages have a higher success rate than the love marriages. And now what you have is a complete farce in our community when people are looking to get married. It's like they're going out window shopping. They're online on these marital websites, looking at one profile after another, constantly looking at different profiles. It's like you're sitting at home and you've got the remote control and you're trying to think, what show shall I watch today? I don't want to watch this. I'll flick onto the next one, onto the next one. It's the very same when they are looking at so many different photographs on people's marriage profiles. They can't make a choice. If I choose her, I may fear the loss of not choosing this one. And this has sort of caused that paralysis in terms of being able to make that choice. Whereas previously, people who had arranged marriages were able to allow the parents to do their own networking. They always knew someone who knew someone, and they were able to verify the character of people, maybe through their families. You can never do that 100%, obviously, but they were able to have some sort of a reference check. Whereas now, you meet somebody on Facebook or online on any social media platform, you know absolutely nothing about their history, their family, their character, where they've come from, only of what they tell you. And that's why it's also becomes very dangerous that you meet people online and you don't really know anything about them. Whereas in the original traditional concept of arranged marriage, people knew each other. And people had more tolerance levels when they were actually married. That's a topic for another day. Why marriages are collapsing so rapidly and quickly now compared to previous times. So that alone, as I said, will be dealt with in a different subject podcast, inshallah, with guests. But just to conclude on this one, is that we need to make marriage as easy as possible. We live in a society where it's become easier to commit zina and more difficult to get married. I met somebody who said that I'm unable to get married because I'm saving up and I need to save about £40,000 before I get married. And until I don't have that amount, I am not going to get married because I need to have a decent wedding. And that is, again, so dangerous because we are forcing people down the haram path of zina because we have made marriage difficult. So at the time of our beloved Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the companions, the Sahaba Ikram, were able to get married so easily, so quickly. Even they could have a walima in the masjid over a date, in terms of a few dates, rather than us now booking big lavish venues, having the most luxury foods and expensive cars and even a helicopter and all sorts of other unnecessary expenses, we've made marriage more difficult and expensive. That's why we are now living in the end times when adultery is so rife in our societies, because we've made the halal more difficult.